Hey there everyone, welcome back. My name is Chris. In this channel we do a lot of watercolor as well as other media. So for today's video I have a very interesting palette. This is the Himi Semi-Moist Watercolor Palette. Now this palette is from the makers who brought you the Himi Jelly Cups Gouache a couple years ago. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you could go on YouTube and you could type Himi Jelly Cups Gouache and you will find a lot of videos talking about it. Now I personally own the Jelly Cup Gouache and it's actually pretty good quality. So when I saw this palette I was very intrigued. I wanted to see if it has the same reputation as the Jelly Cup Gouache. And I'm not going to lie, I was also very intrigued by the packaging. If you look at it, it's very weird, very funny, if I'm being honest, because it kind of looks like a makeup palette. It does not look like a watercolor palette. Now, I was also interested in it because of the term semi-moist. Now, when you're reading the description over there on Amazon, it will tell you that because they're semi-moist, they're not going to be as pigmented as the dry cakes. So based on the description, based on the company, and based on the packaging, I was really intrigued. So I bought this and I paid $13.95 with tax. So I'm going to swatch the colors and we are going to see how they perform on my first impression. So before I share my thoughts with you, I want to share how they advertise the palette. This information is taken from the product description on Amazon. So it says, what is semi-moist watercolor? Compared with the ordinary solid watercolor, the semi-moist watercolor is inferior to the solid powder, but it is easier to dip into. The color mixing effect is better than the ordinary watercolor. The semi-moist watercolor diffusion effect is similar to that of the watercolor. Vibrant colors. 38 colors produces vivid, richly pigmented, and long-lasting vibrant colors that bring your artwork to life. Non-toxic, quick to dry, resistant to fading and discoloration from direct sunlight. Quality watercolor set. Qualified pigments, non-toxic through SGS test, easy to mix, fast drying so you can feel more at ease during using. Of course, you can also have your child paint. Well-designed package, fresh packaging, compact design, full of vitality. It will make you love it. It will be the best gift for your family, teachers, and friends. And finally, they also say that this set can be for professionals, beginners, for your nephew or for your kids, or for anybody else who you think will love it. I made a swatch card similar to the palette setup, so it will be easier for you to follow along. Now, as I'm swatching the colors, I keep thinking about some of the claims that they are making. I do believe that the colors are pigmented and they are easy to dip into. However, I will have to disagree on the fact that they claim that the colors are going to resist fading over time. They do not give any pigment information whatsoever, so I highly doubt that they're using quality pigments to make the colors. Something I was not expecting was getting granulation. As you can see in this green color, I got some granulation and it was very shocking to see that in this very cheap watercolor set. The granulation was very visible when it was wet, but once it was dry, some of the granulation went away. There was a little bit left over. A lot of the greens and some of the purples as well as some of the blues gave some granulation. Some of the earth colors gave granulation as well, and when those colors were dry, it was more visible to see the granulation when it was dry. The brush that came with the palette doesn't have a number, but when I compare it to other brushes that I have in my collection, it appears to be a size 6. I didn't have high hopes about the brush. It looked very cheap, but it actually holds water pretty well. I was able to do all the swatches with no problems using the brush. I really like how they set up the color scheme in the palette. I really like that in the circle there are oranges, yellows, and reds. And then you have greens, purples, pinks, and you have black and white. Your earth tones, you have grays and blues. Here's a close-up of the swatches. As you can see, they are not chalky at all. They dry very smooth. I'm not sure if you're able to see some of the granulation happening there with the purples, the greens, and especially the earth tones. You are able to see a little bit more of that granulation in those pigments. Like right there in the purple, in the gray, the green. So I decided to do a 30-minute sketch using the set just to see how they will perform. I am somebody who likes to use a lot of water, as you can see, and I was just curious to see how my technique was going to hold up. I am using the Strathmore 500 mixed media journal. It is 100% cotton and 90-pound paper. I wanted to give the palette a fair shot, and I decided to use 100% cotton paper to see how it will perform. I actually did a review of the Strathmore 500 mixed media journal if you're interested. Now, I didn't show you this, but I actually did a swatch card testing how they layer and how they mix. Mixing wise, I didn't have any problem. They were actually mixing pretty well. Layering was a huge problem. The colors would actually lift pretty easily. So I did a layer of red. I did a layer of blue over red, and the red completely came off. It created a muddy mess. But like I said, that has to do with my technique because I use a lot of water. So if you're somebody who doesn't use a lot of water, then maybe this is not going to be an issue for you. I want to talk about some of the pros and cons about the palette. I'm going to start with the cons. So the first con is the size. The palette is actually pretty big. Just as a comparison, the journal is around 10 inches and as you can see, when the palette is open, is bigger than that. This is a problem if you have limited space. The palette is going to take a lot of room. It is also a problem if you are planning on taking the palette on the go. This palette is not travel friendly. The second con is the color. As you can see, the palette is green, so if you are looking to mix your colors, it is going to be really hard for you to see the right mixture or the right color that you're trying to mix. You will definitely need an additional mixing palette to mix your colors. And the third con is more of a personal one. I feel like Himi as a company has a very cute look to their products. If you look at, for example, the Jelly Cup Gouache and this palette, you would see that they choose very girly, cutesy colors, and I feel like they know who their target audience is. So if you don't like anything that's cute or girly, then maybe this palette is not for you. But like I said, that's more of a personal note. For the pros, you obviously get pigmented colors, even though they tell you that they're not going to be as pigmented as the cake pans. You actually get a lot of pigment out of them, and I appreciate the transparency. I really appreciate that they let you know right away that the colors are not going to be as pigmented. You also get 38 colors with a lot of variety, and you also get the brush, and the brush is pretty decent. It really does the job well. As of the making of this video, I only paid $13.95, but make sure you check the price before you buy, because Amazon will always fluctuate the prices, so it might be a little bit different when you go and buy it. However, for the price, you actually get a good deal. Like I said, the colors are pigmented. You get 38 colors, you get a brush. Based on my first impressions, I do think this palette is beginner friendly. If this is the only palette you're able to afford, I think you will be happy with it. However, you also need to note that while the price is cheap and you get 38 colors, there is also going to be some limitations, especially while practicing some techniques. Like I said, you will have a hard time layering the colors. Additionally, you will need a different mixing palette. As you can see, the palette is green, so it will give you a hard time when you are mixing your colors. I can definitely see beginners and children using this palette. I can also see crafters using this palette because it has a lot of colors and it is pigmented. I will not recommend this as a professional palette. Like I said, this is not going to be light fast, and you could definitely get better quality paints for cheap. For example, you could get a Cotman set or the Paul Rubens set for about $25, and those are better quality than this Himi set. Now, to be honest, I was very surprised with the palette. I was not expecting much out of it, but it definitely performs well considering the price. I will use this palette for art journaling. Himi has 3 other watercolor palettes, so if you want me to review those, please let me know and I will do so. are thinking about buying the palette, I would definitely give it a try. You just have to keep in mind that this is not a professional set. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. My social media is going to be in the description, as well as all the materials I use. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you like me, please subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.